That's my dog.
Yeah? What's
Yeah,
the
that's my
name?
dog. Lola, come here. Yeah, she's my girl.
Yeah?
Right here, right here.
Do you have to have a dog yourself to be a groomer? I feel like you kind of,
Yes,
yeah,
but I personally don't want one with hair. It's a
right.
lot of work. It's
Yeah.
a lot of work.
Just shave it completely.
I would just shave her completely. Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, thanks for joining the WAG pod. Yeah, I'm glad this worked out. It's kind of funny. I had to cancel like 10 days ago. I sent you that picture. My eye
Yeah, I
was
was
just
like, I
absolutely
really,
cooked.
I really thought a dog had smacked you in the face or something.
Yeah, it might have, but no, it
Yeah.
was just an infect. But your response was hilarious. You're like, I wouldn't have wanted to get on a podcast with that
Yeah,
going
no,
on either.
I wouldn't have even sent you a picture if I'm
I
honest.
know. Well, I didn't want to seem like I was opting out, so I was just like, this is what I look
You,
like right now.
you have to show video proof.
Exactly.
I get it.
So how long have you been grooming? I know that you've recently switched, obviously, to Posh Paws. Now, what is
Yes,
the LI? I mean, obviously, it's
Long
probably
Island.
Long Island. Okay. I was trying to figure that out. I was looking at it. I was like, is that like a Roman numeral or something? I was like, it's probably not. It's probably
No,
not 49.
it's Posh Paws Long Island. That's
Yeah.
where we're at.
Nice.
Yeah.
And so how long have you been grooming in total?
I've been in the grooming industry for 5 years,
Right.
but I've been physically grooming for four because before that I was someone you call a bather.
Yeah. Okay.
hmm
So I
So I was
remember
just bathing dogs.
right, we had talked a while ago, honestly,
Yeah.
for the first time. So kind of going off of that though, I know was it PetSmart or
Yeah.
Petco?
I
PetSmart.
started off with PetSmart. Yeah.
Okay. So what does that look like? Like, first off, I guess what made you interested in wanting to be a groomer and what did that look like to get started?
Because it's different for everybody, right?
Yeah.
Well, for me, I credit my grooming career on my dog
Yeah.
because at the time I actually just needed a job to pay my bills.
Right.
And then I saw PetSmart Bather appeared, and I was
Yeah.
like, you know what? I don't know anything about dogs. I don't know much
Yeah.
about dogs. I
And
have one.
did you already have Lola then?
Yes, I had her for about 4 months.
Okay.
And I was like, it won't hurt me to know more about dogs,
Right.
right?
Worst case, you learn a little something, right?
Exactly. So I applied, and they're like, we have position as a bather. And then in the future, if you want to learn how to do grooming, you can.
Right.
And it was one of those things where, like, once you started doing it,
Yeah.
it just clicked.
Yeah. It just worked
Every
really well. That's similar to like a lot of bars you have to work as like a bar back first, right? For a while and kind of get the lay of the land, right? And learn a little bit before.
being a bather is a very like perfect way to start
Right.
because you aren't doing the physical hand-on grooming, but
Right.
it gives you a lot of the sentimental base of what
Right.
it is to
Right.
be working with dogs in the grooming industry, right?
Right.
Because grooming and daycare is not the same thing.
Right. Exactly. They're two
Mm-hmm.
completely different things. So did you have like your own clients when you were doing the bathing there or like
No, it
okay.
was all new and fresh. So I started as a new bather. They taught
Right.
me, and then you know, as the personalities that you build with people, then
Sure.
you start gaining a
Right.
clientele.
Like then you start to get your own like people coming back to you or like seeing the same kind of people
They
kind
were
of.
like, "Oh, I like this person." So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, that's
You
usually how it
definitely have
goes.
I've enjoyed following along your Instagram. Very bubbly personality. Yeah, you obviously love what you do, so it's fun to keep along with that.
It's one of those things where like I, it might just sound cliche, but once I found it and I started doing it, I felt like I found a little purpose in life.
Yeah.
Whether it's not this big change, right, that I'm making in the
Sure.
world, it's for
Sure.
dogs, and it might be for one dog at a time.
Yeah.
But it just felt like a sense of fulfillment
Right.
that I just never had before,
No, I
right?
mean, that's amazing. I mean, I think like oftentimes, I mean, when I was looking at different careers and stuff, I was interested. I had majored in political science. I was interested in that and think of different things, but there's different kinds of change and impact you can make. And sometimes, sometimes you feel like, hey, man, like I want to make a difference on 100 dogs or want to do this or that instantly versus like hey, I'm taking care of this dog and spending time with this. Both are
Mhm.
great, to be honest. There's not one that's bad. I don't think that every single person needs to go out there and like invent something incredible that's going to impact millions and bit like it's just like I think most importantly, it's like, are you happy and are the people that you're working with happy?
And my are the dogs happy, right?
Yeah,
You'd be
yeah,
surprised how many dogs are just so terrified of grooming,
right.
and it's such an essential thing in their lives.
Oh, it's really
So
important. Yeah,
so I always wanted to be that groomer for
right,
the dog that
right,
made him feel like, you know what, this is not so bad. Like I
right.
might not like it, but it's not so bad.
Yeah,
And then for the owner, it's very hard for them to drop off their baby
sure,
somewhere, right? I,
right.
I say those, I'm lucky I groom because I
Yeah,
wouldn't be able to leave my dog anywhere.
right.
So for people, I always wanted to be that person that like you drop off your dog and you're like, she's fine. She's
She's
in
good.
good
Yeah.
hands.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like they feel confident and they feel trusted. They know that you're not just gonna kind of slack, slack and let them be. Like they will be
They
entertained
would
and
be
loved
happy,
while they're
right?
there. Right.
Whether
Yeah.
they may like it or not, at the end of the day, it's a positive experience.
Definitely. I think
Hmm.
I don't know, that's really, really cool to hear. So yeah, and I guess going back to where you're talking about like dogs being afraid of grooming, I bet I hadn't really thought of that before. I mean, I always thought like, you always see those videos of dogs being, here and they're going to the vet or like that and
Yeah.
they're,
Well,
scared. But I
if
guess
you think of,
grooming, you have the sharp tools and stuff
yeah.
too.
Well, if you really think about it, right, whether it's a puppy or a dog that's never been groomed before because they just got rescued for
Right.
some reason, it's their first time or they had a traumatized experience, whatever it may be, coming into a place, right, that you've never to before, and then
Right.
being with a person you've never seen before, and now
Right.
your owner is leaving you, and us as groomers, we're all up in their business,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
So
literally. Yeah.
you have this stranger all up in their business
Right.
doing things that most of them may not want to do or don't feel comfortable with. So
Right.
it's such a big like responsibility.
Definitely.
I feel as though for myself to make
100%.
these all these dogs and or my clients,
Right.
the dog specifically, to feel comfortable with
Right.
everything, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's man, that makes me want to bring our dog to you. I mean, I live in North Carolina, so I'd have to
It's a bit far. It's a bit
ship
far.
Cedric on a plane or something. I don't know. I don't know if that'd work, but cool. Cool. So you
Yeah.
had started off as a bather. How long were you doing that before you were is it something where like the managers are like kind of like looking out to see like, hey, is this person interested or what does that kind of look like?
It's mostly like them feeling as though like you are capable of handling it.
Sure.
Like, because as a bather, you're able to get a lot of the senses of what it may be.
Right.
And then a lot of it's just really being safe, right?
Right.
Especially with corporate. They just want to make sure that you're able to do things safely because you got some sharp tools in these dogs' faces.
Yeah.
So they just want to make sure that you are capable of doing things in a safe manner. And if
Right.
they feel like bathing, you already got the sets down of it and you know
Right.
how to tell whether a dog is okay because you got to read their body language, right?
Right.
So
Right.
knowing all of that, then they feel okay. We can send you off to what they call academy, and
Sure.
then they teach you the fundamentals of grooming.
Nice.
Then you come back, and then you always have somebody that's overseeing you in the beginning, and
Sure.
then it's all learning, right?
Right.
Grooming is always learning. You learn the fundamentals, and then as time goes on, you just have to keep educating yourself in
Yeah.
different ways.
And how long? So the academy is through PetSmart as well, is that right? Is it
Yeah.
like an online set of like modules or what exactly is
So
that?
in the beginning is like I think, don't quote me.
I
It might
will
be
I
like
will not quote you.
it
You
might
have
be
my
like I
promise.
think a week of book work, and then 3 weeks where it might be either in your salon or you go to a different salon
Right.
where there's an academy trainer, and then
Gotcha.
that's all hands on.
Okay. And
Hmm.
just so, and this is something I kind of want to dive into later on in the episode is your switch from more of the corporate to more of like a private salon.
Hmm.
But just so I understand, are all pretty much all groomers are they needing to get that academy certification? Is that kind of a requirement or can you come in and just start? What is that kind of, is there a standard?
Well, there's no, from what my knowledge is, there's no like license for it.
Sure.
It's all about educating yourself. So
Right.
with PetSmart, it would be like if you go in, you just have to have proof that you've
Sure.
been doing, and then they give you like a I think it called a hands-on test where they
Sure.
see what you can do, right?
Right.
But there, unfortunately, there's no, as of right now that I'm aware of, a license that you can actually have.
Right.
It's
You have
about,
to wonder if that's like a thing down the line, so there's a general standard to it, I guess. But the same thing is like it's incredibly hands-on, right? So
yeah,
that's easier said than done, right? I guess you'd
yeah,
have to
yeah.
ship someone like a I don't even like a dog mannequin with hair on it or something to
They do
practice.
sell those. They
Right.
do
Oh,
sell.
I'm sure they do, honestly.
They do. Yeah, they do sell those. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's all
Yeah.
about like wherever you go, you just tell them how long you've been doing it or where you learned from. Some
Yeah.
people just learn from other groomers, right?
Right.
And then they just branch out from that specific groomer and then just go somewhere else.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Hmm.
So then you were at PetSmart grooming for how long after that?
4 years.
Okay, cool. And your day to day, were you fairly like, sometimes people like go to work, don't enjoy it at all, right? They're just glad to be home after their job and they're like, man, like crack open a beer and watch a show and you know, if I had to guess, it seems like this was something that was very enjoyable for you.
Oh
Like
yeah,
all
yeah.
those,
I
yeah,
loved being at work.
yeah,
No matter how tired I was or how stressful it might have
yeah,
been, I always enjoyed it.
yeah.
I
Yeah,
loved
I'm
the
sure you still
clients, the
do too.
dogs.
I mean, your Instagrams are such positive, good vibes.
Thanks.
With Grooms by Yesica, is that right?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
just love seeing that. You're always like dancing with the dogs and happy and like just hearing you talk about how important the experience is for the dog is, because people, I mean, sometimes obviously like dogs rule, of course, but sometimes people be like, what difference does it make if they're comfortable or uncomfortable during this situation? Like, just get them groomed. But the fact that you have that much passion about what you do is pretty
It's
cool.
so much more. It's so
Yeah,
much more. I take pride in building relationships with them.
yeah,
I tell people if you can, keep them with the same person. It's
yeah.
like when you go to a group, like your hairdresser, right?
Right.
You keep that same person.
Oh yeah, I
They
go to
know
I go to
you.
Mr. Gray. He's the man. He's in Win. I would not get my hair cut anywhere else. I only go back
Exactly.
to him.
And then for dogs, it's one of those things, right? So like they physically can't tell you anything. So
Yeah.
when you find that person that you feel does what's best for you as the owner
Right.
and does the best for the dog,
Right.
keep them with that person because
Oh,
it's such a
absolutely.
beautiful relationship for a groomer to build with a specific dog.
Sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's amazing. And so what does the corporate model look like for PetSmart? So you guys have a bunch of like I don't know, and you're in the PetSmart that you were at, how many places were set up, how many groomers were in there, like how was the flow of everything going?
So we had about, I want to say with me included 8 or 9.
Okay.
And then it's really about like, people look around. The people get a new dog. They're like, where can I bring my dog?
Sure.
And they can come to PetSmart and
Right.
then they choose a groomer.
Yeah.
Some people just went to whoever they wanted to.
Sure.
Other people wanted one specific person.
Right.
I specifically I was lucky enough to get a certain amount of people that
We're consistent.
consistently would come to me. And then aside from that, it will also be get clients that didn't really care who their dog ended up with.
Right. So you had
Mhm.
a consistent, like you started to build up your consistent
Yes.
clientele
Yes.
as well. And so was it almost like a situation where, I mean, was it by hour or is it by job that they would pay you out?
They would pay commission based. So it's all per dog. Mhm.
So kind of a little competition zone in there, like between the 8 or 9 people. Like I
Yeah,
mean,
you can say that.
yeah,
Yeah, you can say.
I'm sure that you were nice to everyone though.
Yeah,
There's no
yeah.
way you were beefing with anyone.
At the end of the day, you can't control what person gets groomed with what dog, right?
Right. Right.
That's what it is.
And I think the going about it like, hey, this person comes to me every time, great. That's the best thing you can do is just work on your craft and get better and better.
Hmm. Just
So,
spread what I do and why I
right.
do it, right?
Yeah.
And if it's your cup of tea, then you can have it. If not, there's so
Right.
many other flavors out there.
Right.
There's tea, there's chai.
Yeah.
I'm just different.
Yeah. Ooh,
Hmm.
sweet tea, Long Island tea. That's an
Yeah.
alcoholic drink. That's
Coffee if
pretty
you
good.
want,
Yeah. Yeah.
latte.
Coffee.
I will consider
Um,
myself coffee actually.
yeah. Yeah. So have throughout those, 4 years before starting, are there other, because I was looking, you had gotten another certification. Are there other programs that you go to that are available? And is this more for catered to New York, or is this something that you can find across a lot of states?
It's really something you can find. It's once you learn how to groom, it's
Hmm.
all on you to educate yourself more, to
Right.
find places that will educate you more.
Right.
And then a lot of the times is usually other groomers that are more like upscale, I would say, right? That they've
Sure.
been
Like
doing it
almost
for
like a
so long.
boutique, right? Yeah.
Right. Or people that teach it, or they
Sure.
can teach you new styles. Because some people just perfect one specific style, whether
Yeah.
it's a specific dog breed or whatever.
Right.
That's usually what they do. And they can host classes, and it's up to you to
To
decide to take that
go and
class.
see if you want to do that.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So you're okay. So you've kind of gone to those classes during it. Are you someone who likes to focus on one specific type of grooming, or do you like to learn kind of as much as you can about it in different
Learn
styles?
as much as I can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seems like it's a kind of a, I mean, I guess life in general, you can say it is, but it's a lifelong learning type of thing, right?
It
And you're
is.
committing to. What's interesting though too is like, so my mom's she teaches sixth grade science, and so like every year she has to do those continuing education, right? You have to get certain points for that so you can keep your license. What I find interesting in the grooming industry, and I wonder if it's something that would eventually change or not, is it's up to you, right? So it's kind of up to you to keep your craft going. And I feel like, in PetSmart, if you have someone who's, let's say, not as skilled and not as interested, they're still probably going to get consistent jobs there, right?
Yeah.
Because people come in, but then kind of elevate, going up to the next level, going to one of those salons, then you really see that difference.
Yes. That's what it is, right? It's really
Yeah,
all up to the groomer to decide what level they want to be at. And if
right.
they want to stay there, they can stay there,
Yeah,
or it's up to you whether you want to find more,
right,
be better,
right,
right?
right.
Mm-hmm.
And so did that, like those kinds of classes you were going to, or taking those, did that kind of inspire you to find a salon in the area, finding Posh Paws?
Yeah, it was one of those things where corporate, it's corporate, right?
Yeah.
We all know corporate
Down with
America.
corporate.
We
Dude.
all know what corporate.
Yeah.
So I just felt, me personally, that my learning
Hmm.
had capped.
Yeah.
At PetSmart, it had just capped.
Right.
There's nothing I felt like I could have learned more.
Right.
So I just personally wanted to find a way to teach myself more, or
Right.
branch out and see what else is out there
Sure.
for me to
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
better.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I feel like you
Yeah,
don't hear that. I feel like sometimes like people will just stay in the corporate job or stay like
it's scary.
it
It's scary
is.
to
Yeah.
you
Was
jump
that
ship.
kind of difficult for you to do that?
It was yes and no. Like, I knew I had to do it, but it was an emotional attachment that I had to the salon specifically,
Right.
to all the people that were there,
Right.
my old coworkers. I have so much love for them.
Yeah.
And I was comfortable, right?
Right.
Hard to leave a comfortable space
It
to the
is.
unknown.
Right.
Hmm.
But, the only
But
constant in life is change, right? Or so they say.
that's what they say.
So
They say if
whoever
you're
this they
comfortable.
is, I don't know the they, that we're talking about, but
Yeah.
that is cool. And so
Mhm.
did you like let clients know that you were going and has that
Yeah, out of
changed?
respect. It was
Yeah.
all out of respect.
Yeah.
I pride myself in the relationships that I make with the dogs and the owners. So
Definitely.
out of respect, you just won't see me there anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you want to know where my journey goes, great. If not,
No big deal, right?
it doesn't matter, right? At the end
Cool.
of the day, it's no big deal. It's
Yeah.
always what's best. I always say it's whatever's best for you, you
Right.
know? Hmm.
Right. That's fantastic. Yeah, I noticed too, you guys like collaborate on the post together, right? So it just seems like Posh Paws is very it's colloquial and they care about each of their groomers, right? And it's kind of like a pretty solid team environment, right? Not in the corporate way when they're like, we're family. Like, trust me, we're but it does seem very cool. So
Well,
so you found them, right? And
yeah.
how
Well,
has that been?
that's the biggest difference between corporate and a what they call mom and pop shop, right?
Hmm.
That corporate, the owner of PetSmart isn't there every day,
Right.
while the owner of Posh Paws is here every single day,
Right.
right? So firsthand, she's able to guide us, and she just wants her team to be better,
Sure.
right? She does whatever she can to
Right.
make each individual person, like, whatever strengths that they may have, she grabs onto them and she pushes them,
Right.
right? That's the whole difference. While
Yeah.
corporate, they just have numbers and quotas that you kind of have to meet.
That you want to hit.
Right. Yeah, it's
Interesting.
more of a
Is
personal thing when it comes to being here.
right, right,
Mhm.
right. So is I guess at PetSmart is the person who's like managing over everyone had essentially did they go up through that program and then they became the manager eventually? Is that kind of how that usually works?
Not really, it really all depends. I think it's different because they have a salon leader, which is a person that oversees the salon,
Sure.
and they usually were groomers before
Right.
they were salon leaders. But then you have also the store manager
Right.
that you have to listen to, right?
Right.
So they usually don't have to have a career in grooming or anything like that.
And now you only have to listen to one person, right?
One person, yeah, one person, yeah.
That's
And
nice.
she actually used to be from PetSmart too, so she
Oh,
understands the
really?
corporate world. Yes.
Do you often find that? Like, is that a large percentage of people who are groomers starting there and then
I
switching?
think it's a half and half. Well, a lot of actually people that start in corporate do end up doing their own thing or switching
Right.
off.
Right.
Yeah, but a lot of people do start in corporate, and I would say like I am so blessed that I started at where I started
Hmm.
because it was such a wild environment in the sense of like in terms of busyness, in terms of the type of people you may meet, you
Yeah.
know, yeah, and I was able to do so much. And for me, it just felt kind of like I had such a rhythm going
Yeah.
in this fast-paced environment.
Right.
And I came here and it feels like even on a fast day or on a crazy day, for me it just feels chill, right?
Right. You feel
I'm
like you
calm.
have control over the situations maybe a little bit more.
But I don't have
Or
to do as much stuff as I used to do at PetSmart.
right. That's
Mm-hmm.
nice. That
Yeah,
is
yeah,
really nice.
yeah.
So were they, how did you end up finding them? Did you know about Posh Paws before and then you just reached out?
Yes. I actually did a CPR class here
Okay.
back
Dog
last year, sometime.
CPR.
Yes.
Have you ever had to do dog CPR before?
Thankfully not, knock on wood.
Yeah, yeah, true. Knock on
Yeah.
wood.
No, but it's a good thing to know, but no, I never had
Yeah,
to do it. Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you had done the class there, and then you just saw they were hiring, and then
No, she wasn't even hiring. I think it was a while back that I just felt like just ask,
mhm,
and see if they have that opportunity for you.
yeah,
And it
it
just
worked
happened,
out.
Yeah.
Things tend to work out.
Yeah.
It
Life
depends
is
on how
life
you
is
look
funny.
at it when you go back, but yeah, that's
Hmm.
great. So how many people are on the team total? And
On the Posh Paws team,
yeah,
well, she has about, correct me if I'm wrong, one, two, three, four, five, six groomers.
hmm,
And then she has about two, three, four, five bathers.
okay.
Hmm.
So it's the same kind of situation. So someone will come in and start as a bather, and
Well,
then
she actually has people that just bathe
right,
dogs. So they bathe, they help the groomers have their dogs be bathed. That way because her thing is as a groomer, she wants you to be able to be at peace, right? And not feel like it's pressure to groom and groom and groom.
right,
So when you groom, it's a peaceful feeling, right? That you don't
right.
feel like you have to bathe the next dog or take a call from a client or
Yeah.
take the people walking in the door.
I like that. There's a more
Mhm.
personalized feel to it rather
Yes,
than the
it is.
rush and the hustle and bustle and everything. It's not
Yes.
like the dog can appreciate that. The dog has no idea. The dog's like, what's going on? They're like,
Yeah.
I probably just
I'm
got a
here
treat or
again.
something. Yeah. They're like, all right. That's
Yeah.
cool. I bet you that, if I had to guess, I'm sure clients appreciate that.
Yes, yes.
Like,
I'm hoping the dogs do too. But
I'm sure
I
they
mean,
do in some way.
yeah.
Uh, my I'm with two my family dogs Cedric and Ivy. They're both Springer Spaniels, and then my sister and brother-in-law are out of town, so he's a golden or like long-haired dachshund. So they're
Hmm.
all there, but I mean they're just incredibly food motivated. So like if they like they're gonna be happy if they get food. So I assume it's the same thing. Like dogs getting groomed, they get a little treat or something. They're like, all right, this is
You give them
awesome.
a little love, you give them a little
Yeah,
pet, you give them a little break.
yeah.
Yeah, you have a little dance with them.
Yeah, I do. You get your little
Yeah.
dancey dances going on there.
Yes.
I like that.
Yeah.
So going into kind of the more specifics of grooming, what can you tell me about like, how long does the groom take? Are there specific techniques? I'll kind of start there. I'm interested to hear kind of get into the nitty gritty of it.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah, yeah. I like learning.
Um,
This is why I think this will be the 16th episode. I just enjoy learning about everything. I'm getting a little
it's
bit more
cool.
material from, everyone.
So there's over 100 something breeds, right?
Yeah.
And
You have to list them all to get hired. Is that no?
I think no, but in terms of there's different size, right? You got small, extra small, you got medium, you got large,
Mhm.
and there's also depending on what groom the owner wanted.
Right.
So roughly, let's say a grooming can take from about 45 minutes to an hour and a half,
Okay.
just the haircut part, right?
Right.
Depending on the size of the dog
Sure.
and what the owner wanted.
Right. And
Mm-hmm.
let me ask you, so I'm guessing there's lots of different groom styles, but are there, because I know like the term feather, that's something, right? Feathers, like the golden retrievers have little feathers coming off. I don't know if
Yeah.
that's a thing, right?
Yes, it is a thing. Yeah.
So, they have those, or like small dogs might have a different kind of haircut. Are there standard groom like styles that can be applied to each of the different sizes of dogs, or does each
I would
what's the kind
say
of breakdown of
I
that?
would say by it would go by the breed, right? Like a golden retriever, you wouldn't ever recommend you shaving a golden retriever.
No
You will
buzz
only
cut?
ever do something that I call an outline trim, where
Uh-huh.
you clean them up. You clean up their belly, their feathering, their
Right.
tail, their ears. You do a good brush out.
Yep.
It just sculpts out their body.
Right.
And then let's say you take a golden doodle or
Hmm.
a poodle, right? And now then it goes to into the lifestyle of the owner,
Right.
whether because those dogs are a lot of maintenance, right? In terms of
Right.
brushing them every single day. So you take the owner's lifestyle into account, whether
Right.
what they and cannot do. So you can either
Gotcha.
take the dog short but not shaved, and for it to be easier for them and easier to the dog.
Right. Yeah, because I've
Mm-hmm.
noticed golden doodles, I mean, obviously they're adorable, but like sometimes their hair's so curly, it covers half their eyes sometimes. They can't even see part of the time. They're like looking out and I was wondering about that. I was like, who cuts that?
Or it's me. But you can also just do like for let's say if you like your dog really really fluffy, you
Hmm.
can always just bring them in for a bath and tidy where we just clean up the main areas like the
Yeah.
sanitaries, the paws, the face.
Hmm.
It all really depends on the preference.
Yeah.
Depending on the breed, it could be grooming every 6 to 8 weeks, or every 3 weeks, or every
Right.
4 weeks, depending on how you
Right.
like. It. Doesn't It's such a wide range of
There's so
options.
many, it seems like there's so much to learn about it.
It is, yeah.
Do
And like
you
my
like,
dog, I wouldn't cut her hair. I would just give her a bath and a good brush out.
right, right.
Mm-hmm.
Do you like have scenarios? Because you've been doing this, you said you're going to your fifth year, correct?
Going to my 6th year.
Going into your sixth year.
Mm-hmm.
So do you have scenarios that come up with like, I mean, with 100 different dog breeds and like that many different styles, do you ever feel like, hey, I'm not quite sure what I want to do, or like, ask people you're working with, or do you feel pretty confident at this point? Like I know what to do in most situations.
Um, I want to say in the most common situations for the everyday person,
Hmm.
yes, I could help them navigate to figure out what they want.
Right.
Then you have that one person that doesn't, they don't even know what they want, right?
Right.
And then I need to have somebody else come help me figure out what we're gonna do here.
Right.
Mhm.
So, do you find that oftentimes people come in and know, or is it usually like, all right, just make my dog look cute, please? Like his hair's getting long.
Maybe like 80, 20, 70, 30.
Okay.
Yeah. So people are like, just make them look, give them the regular.
Yeah, give them the regular, and you've just never met the dog before, and you're like,
Or
got
the dog,
you
or
covered.
they just, it wasn't even the owner that dropped them off, or somebody else, and just do the
Right.
usual.
Yeah, give
Luckily,
them the
you have
usual.
notes.
Right.
You have notes, so you might know what the usual is, or it might
Right.
just be different every time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Hmm.
do you now like how far are you typically booked out? Like weeks ahead,
Well,
or is it?
Posh
Yeah.
Paws is booked out about 3 to 4 weeks ahead.
Wow.
Hmm. Yeah, it's
And
very loyal people.
yeah,
Hmm.
definitely. And then I know you mentioned you're kind of doing your own in-home grooming kind of thing now
Hmm.
too. What is that?
Yeah.
Do you have like a name for that? Or are you pondering that?
No, I haven't come up with a name. I've always said if I do my own thing, I wanna name it after my dog somehow.
Yeah,
But it was very nerve-wracking at first because it was something new.
sure.
But now I kind of got the hang of it, and it's really
Right.
just whatever owners feel like some dogs really, you just got to go to their house because they're
Sure.
just very anxious. So being in
Yeah.
their
Yeah.
own
Yeah. Yeah.
environment helps them feel a lot better.
Right.
So I just go bring my table, bring my grooming supplies, bring my dryer.
Nice.
They give me a basement, they give me a bathroom, whatever may work for them,
Yeah.
and we just get the grooming done.
That is awesome. Is that through Posh Paws or is that you? Pretty much.
That's me.
Look at that. That's some
Yeah.
entrepreneurship right there.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a freelance, right? Like it, like you're able to probably I would assume those you're making a little bit more, right? Because you're having to drive there and everything.
Yeah,
I
right.
was
Yeah.
talking to some groomers previously. Apparently, like, mobile grooming just seems like that
Oh,
seems like a lot.
that's a whole different ball. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
I don't know, but you're doing that sort of, but you're not having them in a van. You're bringing all your stuff
Yes.
to those. So, how
Mhm.
many dogs do you think you see a week?
In terms of my own personal
Hmm.
that I do my own, I haven't had like a such a consistent amount yet.
Sure.
So it can vary between like one, three. Sometimes they all just pile up and I have like five in 1 week.
Right.
Hmm.
And so the goal with that is to start to kind of get that consistency and get
Yeah.
those clients. That's what I noticed with Wagworks. Since we talked, because it was only me pretty much doing jobs when we talk. We have three people. It's Winston-Salem is one of the areas, and then we have two people in Raleigh. And so a lot of overnight's not really necessarily a consistent thing, right?
Hmm.
Like unless someone's traveling for work every other week, and you go. And so that's kind of like right now we've had a decent amount of gigs and bookings, but that's in the same sense where you want to start getting those consistent, like, hey, I want to book you once a month, same as, the Mr. Gray, the guy who cuts my hair, same as like, he has consistent clients. I want to kind of do that with the walkings, right? It'd be nice if I could get out and have a consistent amount, like, hey, I'm walking this dog every Tuesday, Thursday. And we've started to see some of that, but it's a lot word of mouth. I don't know if
Yeah.
it's, I mean, you can do marketing and social media and stuff like that, but do you feel like for grooming it's word of mouth as well?
Yes, both. And also social media. I
Right.
think social media is very important. A lot of people nowadays, me personally also, we just want to see, right? We want to go on social media and see what their vibe is, right?
Right.
What they got to offer. So
Yeah.
it's the same kind of thing where you might have a client that I'm like I had a client, funny story. I had a client from PetSmart and they had recommended me to somebody new. So I ended up doing their dogs.
Yeah.
And then I had a different client call me the next day and she was like, "You never believe what happened." I was like, "What?" She was like, "My very good friend, so and so, was raving about this new groomer she just got and all of this and all of that." And she was giving me the phone number like it was a drug deal.
Yeah.
And I go to I go to check the phone number and I realized she was talking about you this whole time.
That's
It was a very
awesome.
like such
That's
a
gonna feel
small
really
world
good.
situation.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
It's
was
it's a
funny
funny
and it
like
felt good.
coincidence for sure, but also like it just speaks of the professionalism that you have, right?
It
I,
made me feel very happy within because I've had only done her dogs once,
right.
but within that once, Lola, she's my
She's a good
protector.
listener. Hey
Yeah,
Lola.
within that once, she was able to like just see what I can do with her dogs, you know, for her
Right,
to speak so highly,
right,
just
right.
knowing me one day. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can leave
Lola.
it right there. Come here. She's my protector.
Hey, you
She's
got
part
it.
Doberman. And if you
Yeah,
didn't know, Dobermans were bred to protect. Come here.
yeah,
Yeah,
of
yeah.
course. She's
You're
adorable.
okay. You're okay. Relax. Good job.
Yeah, I love everyone. I did my first. So right now I'm in because I have three dogs. I was like Cedric and Harley they're gonna go at it and be loud and stuff. I was like, all right. So I'm at my brother-in-law and sister's house, but I did my first one where I had just Cedric and I, my Springer Spaniels, like sitting down. They did pretty good. I've been impressed, and I was like, I guess it's always good to bring a dog on.
At the end of the
They're
day,
fun.
they're dogs, right? They're gonna do what they're gonna do.
Right. They're gonna enjoy
So
it.
let
So
him be.
are you able to have him all day at Posh Balls?
If I wanted to, yes, but she would just be better off at home. I have a cat,
Right.
so I don't want to separate her and the cat.
They get along pretty well?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I say it, I think they get along very well because I had her first and then I got the
Oh,
cat.
had it
I
been
think
the
it,
other way.
I think it'd
Yeah.
been different if the dog came into the cat's territory
Right.
when it was the cat came into her territory. And
Right.
she's grown up with cats, so she's used to
She's
them.
used to it. So I
Hmm.
saw that you do cat grooming as well. Is that right?
Oh yeah. Hmm.
Is that something that, I mean, I feel like people start with dogs and then it goes to cats, or is it any kind of animal that you see, like at least when you were in, corporate, right?
I think most people do start with dogs and then go with cats, but there aren't a lot of cat groomers out here or
Yeah,
out anywhere really. It's cats are different. They're a
sure.
different breed, and it's understanding them and knowing them and working with them.
Yeah,
It's different than a dog. You can't win a cat over the way you can win a dog over.
definitely not.
So
Yeah,
that not a lot of people want to work with cats like that, and it's fair. I
sure.
get it. I
Yeah.
get it. Hmm.
But you having a cat has probably helped you feel more comfortable.
I actually got the cat before I started cat grooming
Right.
because I wanted to do it. And
Right.
then I was like, you know what? If I have a cat, maybe he will let me and help me understand what it is to own a cat and
Yeah.
the vibes of a cat and how to understand them more and work with them.
Yeah.
Because
That's amazing.
he made me feel
That's an insane commitment to your craft right there. Like
he
that
made me
is
feel a
awesome.
lot more
You're like, I
comfortable.
want to learn how to groom cats. So I'm going to get my own cat. That rules.
I'll give it to him. He made me feel a lot more comfortable to work with cats
Oh
than I
yeah.
definitely was before. I
Yeah.
was scared of them before.
Right. Oh, no,
Hmm.
me too. I've had some, when I was younger, I was like holding a cat and my buddy like pulled its tail, just like scratched
Oh,
right near my eye. And from then on, I was like, I'm good. Like I love dogs. And then since starting here, I've had a couple cat requests. So I'm like, I'm not gonna turn down a job, right? People are out of town, they need help. And so the most recent one was like, it's diabetic 19-year-old cat. And so like
so
I had
cute.
to give the insulin shots and I was like, "Oh my gosh." Like I was going back in. I was like, "I really really like hope the cat's alive." Like
You
when I
should
go
film
back.
stuff like that, you know?
It kind of it pushes me. Like I do I love dogs. I love spending time with dogs. I feel like I not all dogs like I mean I've in my life I've been bitten like once or twice, but now I'm starting to get the feel for it and it's just spending
Hmm.
so much time with all of them. And it gives you confidence, I think too.
Yeah, it does.
You just kind of
It's
go into it.
it's really the more time you spend with them, the more you get to learn body language more
Yeah.
than anything, right?
Yeah.
And a dog can tell you a lot with their eyes.
Right.
At least I feel as though like I look into their
Definitely.
eyes and I'll know whether this dog is extremely afraid of me or is just extremely anxious or more
Right.
calm, cool,
Right.
collected. You know how to approach them more.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Sweet.
all
Well,
about time.
we have about 1 minute left. You want to kind of leave off on any final notes or things you want to share about grooming and your experience so far, or if someone wants to be a groomer, any advice for that?
I just think it's great. Definitely start off as a bather, but it is a extremely rewarding experience for me to
Yeah.
be able to, it's a privilege to be able to get relationships with all these dogs. I
Yeah.
consider them my dogs, but it's a privilege. But I think it's a privilege to work with any dog, whether you're a
Right.
dog walker, dog groomer, daycare,
Yeah.
shelter, whatever you do. It's all a privilege to work with such beautiful animals.
Definitely.
Yeah.
That's fantastic to hear. I mean, just like hearing you speak about it is inspiring just to hear the love
Thank
that
you.
you have for what you do. And you can
Thank
tell
you.
and like that's amazing. Like a lot of people I feel like go through their day to day and are kind of like, "Yeah, I do this or I do this," and they're not. And just like that love and passion you see, I mean, I might have to come to Long Island to get Cedric the regular or whatever we'll
Give us a
call it,
visit.
right? Awesome.
Thank
Well,
you.
yeah, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate your time and best of luck with all your ventures.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yep. All right.
Bye.
Bye bye.